Hi and welcome everyone. Okay, so in today's lesson, I want to go over the previous work that you had for homework, which is in our Max book, pages 22 and 23. And we are still talking about modal auxiliary verbs and related verbs. So let's begin. Please check your answers and make sure they are correct. So as we know, the modal auxiliaries include can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, and would. And we also know that modal verbs, they add meaning to the main verb in a sentence by expressing possibility, by expressing ability, by expressing permission, or obligation. So each one of the modal verbs, has a job, and their job is to, express more by using these modal verbs. So, for example, if I say you must turn in your assignment on time, this is an obligation. I'm not telling you you can. I'm not telling you you could. Must, when I say must, that means it's an obligation. That means that you have to do it. If I say the doctor can't see you now, I'm saying that that doctor is free and it is your turn and he will see you now. So when a modal verb precedes the main verb in a sentence or a clause, we know that we have to use the root of the verb rather than the infinitive, which contains the word to. So I cannot say the doctor can to see you now. That's incorrect. The one case in which we deviate from this rule and use the full infinitive form of a verb is with the modal phrase ought to. So, in other words, we can never put a to after the modal verbs unless it is ought to. Ought to comes automatically after ought. So remember, ought to, that's the only exception. The verb to do can also be used as a modal verb or a main verb. For example, you can do it. You can do it. So in this sentence, to do is being used as a main verb and can is being used as a modal verb. Like we have in front of us, we have the modal related verbs, which are, very similar in meaning to, some of the modal auxiliary verbs that we already know. And what I mean by that is, the ones that we have here is suppose, to be bond, to be able, to be allowed, to be required. These also have a meaning. And, it's better to use these in your sentence rather than saying you can. So, what does supposed mean? Supposed means that you should. They're supposed to. If I say they're supposed to, I'm meaning they should. Okay? What does to be bond to? It means that they will. If I say they're bond to, I'm, in other words, I'm saying they will. If I say they are able to, in other words, it means they can. Okay? So able to means they can. If I say they're supposed to, I am meaning they should. Okay? And if I say they're required to, I am meaning that they must. Okay? So, again, here we have supposed to means similar to should. And we can use it in the past, present, and the future. And it is to give advice, to make recommendations, to talk about probability, and expectations. When we use to bond, he's bond to, we are meaning that, it's bond to means very similar to should. And we also can use it in the past, present, and future. And it is used with actions that are certain or very likely to happen, and also in the future. When we use able to is very similar to could, and we also use it in past, present, future. And able to is, it's an ability, okay? So that's its job. To be allowed is very similar to may, and we also use it in the past, present, future. And if I say you're allowed to, I'm giving you permission. Required to is very similar to must, okay? And should, will, could, may, must, these are our original modal auxiliary verbs. So there's really no difference between modal auxiliaries and modal related. These are just, more sophisticated words. They're more professional to use in a sentence, in writing, and in speaking. Like I said, when I say you're required to, I am meaning that you must, okay? And we can also use it in the past, present, future, and as we know, must is an obligation. Okay, now let's do the exercises and make sure your answers are correct, because you will be having some of these on our final quiz. One says use the correct form of the best verb to complete the sentences below. 1. My parents are able to call this week. The phone system is working again. 2. My brother and I are bound to be late. The leaves on the train track are causing terrible delay. 3. You're supposed to eat a lot of vegetables every day. 4. I am allowed to stay out until midnight because my parents trust me. 5. Frank wasn't able to keep off the grass. It was too nice and soft. 6. Joanna is required to wear goggles at work. 7. The teacher refuses to accept the homework in the state that it was in. 8. He's not supposed to smoke here. It's a non-smoking area. 9. It's bound to snow today. It is winter. And we said bound, similar, like, we can't say, it's supposed to rain, because when we say suppose, that we are 100% sure that it's going to snow. But when we say it's bound to rain, it's a maybe, because since it's winter, so it might snow. 10. The nurses are not allowed to do the doctor's job, but sometimes they do. Actually, they both can work, so if you put either one, it's not going to be wrong. We can also say the nurses are not supposed to do the doctor's job, and we can say the nurses are not allowed. Same thing. 11. I'm not able to travel for more than a day as I have to look after my pets. 12. Richie is not allowed to play football. He had a broken ankle. Or we can say Richie isn't able to play football. He had a broken leg. Or no, I'm sorry, Richie wasn't able to play football. He had a broken leg, because this is in the past. Because how do we know? Because it says he had. 13. My aunt is required to stay behind and tell the police what happened. And we said we required means must, and when it, when we are talking about police, we know that, we have to do what they want. Next, we have complete each of the following sentences with a suitable verb. I mean, now here there's nothing complicated, there's nothing hard about these exercises. If you understand what each of the modal verb means, it's a breeze and it's very easy. 1. I must sign in every time I come into work. This is an obligation. I can't put I can. I cannot. It's wrong if I put I will or I can. So I must works the best because it's an obligation. So it really depends on the sentence. So you must read the full sentence and decide which of the modal verbs best suits the sentence. 2. They could park their cars here if they want. So I used could because we have if they want. They could if they want and they don't have to. So that's what it means. 3. She shouldn't tip the waiter because he was so rude. Okay, so here our sentence is saying, you're giving her advice that she should not give the waiter a tip because he was rude to them. 4. He mustn't wait for his parents to start eating before dinner before he starts. I'm sorry, that's wrong. He must wait for his parents to start eating before he starts. That's my mistake. He must. 4 is must. 5. You will like it. It was delicious. So since we have it was delicious, this is positive, and so we can't say you can't like it. It was delicious. That doesn't make any sense. 6. We can come. It's not too late. 7. Hannah couldn't sign the paper. It was wrong. 8. You mustn't put that much mustard on your food. We can't say you can put that much mustard because we have that much, and that much means that this is a negative, and we know that mustard is bitter, and if you put too much mustard, it's not going to taste good. And mustard means khardal. She will love it. She loves everything of that style. Since we have she loves everything of that style, we know to use will because we are 100% sure. 10. Harry should send a letter yesterday, but he didn't. 11. Harry must send a letter today. If he doesn't, he will regret it. 12. Giraffes could reach the branches of very tall trees. We can't say giraffes will. We can't say giraffes can. We can't say giraffes should. So we know that giraffes, this is true fact, we know that giraffes could reach the branches of very tall trees. Exercise 6. Rewrite the sentences using the verb in brackets. So here they have given us the modal related verbs at the end, and you decide where it belongs in the sentence. So 1, I'm sure you'll pass your test, you're so clever, and they have given us bond. So the correct answer would be you're bound to pass your test, you are so clever. 2, you can't use dictionaries in this exam. So how do we use allowed? So here it says you can't use dictionaries in this exam. Allowed, so we have to say you are not allowed to use dictionaries in this exam. So 2, make sure you put not before allowed. 3, It is illegal for people under 18 to drive cars. And they have given us the modal-related verbs supposed. People under 18 are not supposed to drive cars. 4. They can't reach the switch. They're unable to reach the switch. Able means they could, unable means they can't. So they're unable to reach the switch. 5. He must turn his phone off. To use required, it becomes he's required to turn his phone off. 6. I won't give you my chocolate. And we have the modal-related verb refuse, so it becomes I refuse to give you my chocolate. 7. You have to be nice to your little brother. And we have supposed. You're supposed to be nice to your little brother. 8. Vegetarians can't eat meat. And we have the modal-related verb supposed. Vegetarians are not supposed to eat meat. Vegetarian means النباتيين ما بياكلوا اللحم. 9. People who are angry or very upset shouldn't drive cars. And we have supposed. People aren't supposed to drive cars when they are angry, upset, when they are angry and very upset. 10. Chicks can't live without their mother. Chicks aren't able to live without their mother. 11. Students must inform reception if they are late for school. And it becomes all students are required to inform the reception, which means الإدارة, if they are late for school. 12. The judge will not accept my case. The judge will refuse to accept my case. Okay. Exercise D says complete the sentences using the words listed in the box below. Some gaps may have more than one correct answer. He must be exhausted after such a long flight. He might prefer to stay in tonight and get some rest. 2. If you want to get a better feeling of how the city is laid out, you should walk downtown and explore the waterfront. 3. Hiking the trail to the peak could be dangerous if. Now here we used could because we have if. You are not well prepared for dramatic weather changes. You can research the route a little more before you attempt the ascent. 4. When you have a small child in the house, you must not leave small objects lying around. Such objects might be swallowed, causing serious injury or even death. 5. Can you hold your breath for more than a minute? Nathan, no, I can't. This is a question. 6. Jenny's engagement ring is enormous. It must have cost a fortune. Since we have is, we know to use must, and we know by sentence saying have cost a fortune, that means that it costs a lot. 7. Please make sure to water my plants while I am gone. If they don't get enough water, they could die. 8. The book is optional. Optional means you can, but you don't have to. My professor said we could read it if we needed extra credit, but we didn't have to read it if we don't want. So you could do it, إذا بدكم more marks, but you don't have to إذا ما بدكم, so it's up to you. Okay, so that's that for the modal-related verbs. By now we should, completely understand when to use it and what each one refers to and what each one means. And that's it for today's lesson. Any questions, please go back to my modal video or ask me. Have a great day.